welcome to the Wealth Table, where mindfulness and action lead to you being wealthy. It's actually going to help you get to your well-being. My name is Kimberly Evans, and I am one of the hosts of the Wealth Table.
Hello, Kimberly. I'm Kathryn Eriksen, and I'm the co-host of the Wealth Table. Welcome, everyone. Go ahead.
Yes, so we're going to talk today about setting financial goals. And one of the things that Kathryn and I enjoy on the Wealth Table, and as you start watching our episodes, is that both of us come to a conclusion from two different directions. The direction I'm usually coming from is really pragmatic and really practical and really on the strategic side of financial services. But there's some things that make all of that work that have to do with the way you see yourself and how you feel about things and your mindfulness. And that is where Kathryn brings it together. And between the two of us, hopefully we can help you focus on your financial goals. And so what we want to talk about is the reason for setting financial goals in the first place. And Kathryn, you and I were having this conversation, and I can't wait to hear what our listeners are going to have to say about this, because I always say financial goals are just like a GPS. Just like when you are setting a trip, when you're planning a trip, you sit down, especially if you're driving, you don't just get in your car and just start driving some direction, hoping you will land wherever you're trying to go. You plan it out, you put the address in your GPS, you might have it set for fastest or shortest or avoid this or that. But you don't just get in your car and start driving. But for some reason in our lives, and maybe you can give us some insight into this, for some reason, we think on our financial life that we should just say where we want to go without a plan. We just say, this is how I want to live, or these are things I'd like to have, but we don't put a plan in place whatsoever. And we're expecting those results. So what do you think it is that makes us not see like driving in a car or going on a trip as important to plan out, but we don't plan out our financial lives in the same way?
Well, that's a great analogy, because before you go on that trip and make that plan of your route, you have to make sure that your car is in great shape. Are the tires in good shape? Is the oil changed? Do you have a full tank of gas? Et cetera, et cetera. So that's kind of my piece, making sure that your vehicle, the vehicle of your mind, body, and spirit, are aligned so that when you do make those plans, when you do make those goals, you're not going to be fighting yourself. You're not going to be sabotaging yourself. So I love that analogy, Kimberly. Thank you. And just real quick, mindfulness is really, I love the concept of mindfulness. And what that means is that you are present and seeing clearly. And what that means is you're not thinking about your past and letting that influence your present decisions, your current decisions, and you're not projecting into the future. So you can see why that is so important with preparing your vehicle for financial abundance, for well-being, for prosperity, for moving forward. So how do you get into mindfulness? How do you learn mindfulness? If you just Google that, you will find a gazillion articles in about 1 second. But the nutshell, the short version is, when you feel fear in your body, and we're all fearful right now. It's very easy to feel fearful because of the economic situation, inflation, blah, blah, blah. But when you feel that in your body, just kind of take a minute and step back and do some deep breathing. And you can just feel that energy leave your body, and you've returned to the thinking part of your brain, not the oldest lizard part. The oldest lizard part is fight or flight. So think about that when you've made decisions about money, for example, out of fear. How did your body feel? And what happened in that decision? I can remember times I've been so afraid of losing something that I didn't take advantage of an opportunity. And then I'd look back and said, well, wait a minute, that fear wasn't real, and I just lost out on this opportunity to move forward. So part of it is seeing those roadblocks, becoming aware of where you are blocking yourself, and then working through that so your vision is clear and your path is forward, not backwards or projected to the future. So what do you think about that, Kimberly?
So I think that is so interesting because when I sit down and come up with a financial strategy, right, for our clients, and we're talking through where they want to go, they're always surprised when they say, okay, well, I want to be a millionaire. And I say, well, why? And they go, what do you mean, why? Doesn't everybody want to be a millionaire? I was like, well, no. Do you actually need $1 million? Or have you subscribed to something that's, well, in order for me to be secure, I have to have $1 million. Or in order for me to be successful, I have to have $1 million, when in reality, that may not be the case. And so the way you think about money and the way you think about what you want and the way you think about your goals, but that's so why it's so important to sit down and write them and sit down and plan them. Like, what is your goal? And you may have a really, really large goal, but there's things that we have to do in between to get to that goal, which is that roadmap, which is your mindfulness, which is preparing your vehicle for whatever it is you want to do. And if you're considering yourself, you're the vehicle, right? So tell me, why is it you want this financial goal? Is it you want to put your kid through college? Is it you want to buy a new house? Is it you want a new car? Is it you want to travel? What does it look like, but why? And once you really can own the fact that you deserve it, you can make it happen.
Exactly.
And whatever roadblocks come in your way during that period of time, you can actually overcome them. Because that's the other piece of this conversation, is like, even if we set a plan, first you have to believe you deserve it. You have to prepare for it all. You have to get started. But this is one of the things, Kathryn, I would love to know. One of the things that I see is as soon as somebody hits a roadblock, so they first, like, they have a flat tire, or they don't have enough gas and they're panicked and stuff, the very first thing to do is that fight or flight thing you said, like, they
Right.
quit, they give up, they stop. Well, it must not be meant for me, and then we revert right back to that mindset of, well, it must not have been meant for me to have, as opposed to, okay, it's just a little bump. Yes, you have to navigate around it, or you have to fix it. Like, if you have a flat tire, obviously you can't drive your vehicle. Get the tire fixed. It's not the end of the world, and then get back on your path. Where most people be like, well, trip's canceled, I'm out of here. And I think we do that in our lives all the time. So how do we not only convince ourselves like it's okay, but like, don't lose sight of what you want to do and that you deserve it, to have accomplishment, no matter what comes in your path?
Right. That's a great question. So what I do with my clients is we create a money compass, and we determine what your values are, what your goals are, what you, the meaning that you derive from that, and how you're going to get there. And that money compass serves as a guide toward your financial health, your well-being, and also your mental, physical, spiritual health and well-being. And as you hit a roadblock, if you go back to the money compass, you can realign, you can reassess, and you can say, well, okay, yeah, I didn't expect this to happen, but it's okay because I'm still moving forward. So it's really keeping perspective. And just know that when you're in that fear-based thinking, you have no perspective. You don't remember, you think, you get very tunnel vision, and you don't see everything that's in front of you. So that's why I use these mindfulness and breathing techniques to step out of that tunnel vision. And that way you can see that, yeah, this is a little bump. Okay, it's gonna set me back 2 months. I didn't expect, my car to need that much in repairs, but I'm still good. I'm still moving forward. And as you take these small steps and then look back, you congratulate yourself. It's very important to understand this is a process. It's a journey. It's not a destination. And I love the goal setting, but if you tie that to your oh, I'm only good if I make that goal, that's when you can fall back into all these self-defeating behaviors and beliefs. So a goal is more like a signpost. It's not who you are. You are this person on your abundance and prosperity journey. You are the person who gets to decide in each moment how you react, if you respond with love or fear. And you are the person who's going to stand there at the end and say, look at everything I've done. This is amazing. I'm so happy I listened to Kathryn and Kimberly.
Yes. And I tell everybody this all the time, right? The blessings are in the journey itself.
Yeah.
And so any progress you make on that journey is the blessing that you're looking for. It's not the destination that's to be celebrated. It's the fact that you said, this is where I want to go. And you were constantly moving towards that. You are constantly, and this is my thing, and you know this, I am so passionate about people living their lives instead of just existing through them. And everybody deserves that. And I just want, what we can do on the well table is give them ways to think through it, practical tips and tools to use it, but just so they can reach whatever it is that they can have that sense of complete well-being. Because that's where I live. That's where you and I live. We talk about this all the time. I'm always in joy because I choose to, but that took practice. It took a lot of time. And it's not like it's time from your sake. It's like time for my sake. So I just think it's so important that we have these conversations. And I would really love to know what our listeners think about this, because before we can even start deciding where you want to go, we need you to understand you deserve it and how to get there. So that's kind of the stuff we're going to talk a lot about on the well table all the time.
Yes, thank you. And I'm so excited for the future, because the more people we reach and the more people we come in contact with, that just elevates the consciousness of more people, which makes an impact. If 5 people listen to this particular podcast and say, you know what, I'm going to start noticing when I'm in fear, and I'm not going to make any decisions. I'm going to take a step back and reassess and realign. That in and of itself has ripple effects. That person will make a different decision than they would have, and it just spirals from there. So I hope you hear our message, which is everyone deserves to be wealthy. Everyone is wealthy, but you've convinced yourself that you're not. So that's the purpose and the point of the Wealth Table. We offer practical tips as well as the kind of the inner work that makes the practical tips move forward. So is there anything else you want to add, Kimberly, before we sign off?
Just that, remember, it's not where you start, it's where you finish.
I love that. I love that. So thank you for staying with us on the Wealth Table, listening to us, hopefully taking notes, and reach out to us. At the end of this podcast, there'll be a slide that shows how you can get a hold of Kimberly or myself, or you can just Google our names and you'll find all our websites and social media. So once again, thank you for being here. The Wealth Table has a seat for everyone. Come join us.
Yes. See you soon.
Thank you.